In 2009, out of the blue, a healthy 24-year-old, Susannah Cahalan, began suffering from paranoia, hallucinations, seizures and psychosis. For 1 month, Susannah was a medical mystery with one misdiagnosis after another.
As her condition worsened, one doctor did something that proved so vital it saved her life. He gave her a pen and paper and asked her to draw. Susannah is here now to tell us more. It's so lovely to meet you and have you here because things could have been so different. If we can just go back to the start. You were living in New York.
Yes.
You're a news reporter. You had a really cool life, great boyfriend. Things were good.
Right.
And yeah, in February 2009, you started to behave a little bit differently to normal. In what way?
You know, it just started very subtly. I didn't feel like myself. So I felt just off. And I chalked it up, I'm having a bad month, I'm having a bad week, work's not going right, maybe this relationship isn't going right. I tried to just make sense of it, but I just didn't feel right.
And so it's when you started actually having to take time off work because of it, you thought, right, I have to actually take things one step further, and you went and saw a neurologist, didn't you?
Yes, at one point I had numbness in my hand, and I thought that's kind of odd, and he said, you probably have mono.
Okay, but
You have
mononucleosis, yeah, I think kind of a flu.
like a flu.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
But the thing is that in March of that year, your boyfriend witnessed what was a terrifying night seizure for you. Explain what happened there.
So he actually, I don't remember any of this,
Yeah.
but he woke up in the middle of the night and he heard these kind of low grunting noises coming from me, and he turned to look at me and my eyes were just wide open. But I was unseeing. And so he said, Susannah, how are you? What's going on? And I didn't respond. And then all of a sudden, my arms just jutted out in front of me, and I began to shake, and blood and foam kind of came out of my mouth. I bit my tongue. And at that point, he knew that he was witnessing a seizure. Somehow, he'd never seen a seizure before, but he knew on some level that this was a seizure. And so he turned me on my side, and he called 911.
And I mean, this prompted you to end up going and seeing another neurologist, because this is terrifying what's going on, especially if you don't know what it is.
Right.
But still, they couldn't pinpoint what it was.
No, and at that point, so I went, had these seizures. My behavior is getting even more strange. I'm getting very paranoid, almost hallucinating, hearing things. So I go to my doctor, and he says, you know what, you're working too hard and you're drinking too much. Just cut it out and you'll be fine.
Was that true? Were you?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's so funny because I look back at my medical records now, and he asked me, how much are you drinking a day? And I said, about 2 glasses of wine a night. And he wrote down 2 bottles of wine a night. Very different.
Very different.
Yes.
Well, then it's discovered there's nothing physical. You checked over and they can't find anything physical, so then they look towards the mental issues.
Right.
There may be some sort of issue there. Perhaps it's bipolar, and you're prescribed antipsychotics at this stage. And this is interesting because in a moment we'll come to this incredible link between what you actually had and this a mental connection. But for you, it was only when really you were taken back to your mum's house and you had an issue there that she managed to get you into a doctor's surgery where you finally had a seizure in front of the medical profession.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I was getting worse and worse. I mean, actively hallucinating at this point, really seeing things. I mean, I had become a danger to myself and others. I was trying to jump out cars, tried to jump out windows. So finally, my mom takes me to this same neurologist and says, this doesn't make any sense. She's getting worse. She doesn't drink. She hasn't drank this whole week. She's not working this week. Why is she getting worse? And he said, fine, I still think this is, she's just partying too much and working too hard, but there is an epilepsy ward that she can go on and they can monitor her, and that's how I got into the hospital.
You don't remember any of this, do you? Any of these
Most of
things
it I don't remember.
So then when you were in that ward, you woke up, you said it was like 5 days in, you woke up and you actually found yourself in a straitjacket.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I mean, what goes through your mind when you wake up?
I tell you, we've got some of the footage here of your time in hospital. Terrifying for those around you. And then when you're coming around, I know that there's a lot of this you don't remember.
Yes.
Can you remember waking up in a straitjacket?
I remember waking up, and it was what they call a chest posy. So it's not a full straitjacket, but it's over the chest. And I remember being confused. I remember thinking, where am I? And I remember looking out a window and seeing taxi cabs and knowing I'm in New York City. And I remember feeling angry. You know, someone had me here against my will. And later, you know, way later, when I was doing reporting about this, I learned that I had tried to escape the previous night, and I had been violent with the nursing staff, so they had to restrain me.
So, I mean, things were getting worse all the time, weren't they? I mean, you said that you were suffering more seizures, hallucinations, personality disorder, psychosis. Friends even described you as something out of a zombie movie or The Exorcist.
Like catatonic, I mean...
Yes, as the disease progressed, I went from really psychotic to then catatonic. So, you know, the person you would see couldn't really speak, drooling, you know, arms out in front of them.
Yeah,
you know, just like this, you know, just keeping your arms there, just like, you know, the whole zombie movie thing.
So then in comes Dr. Suhail Najjar, the Associate Professor of Neurology at NYU Medical Center, and he's the go-to guy. When nothing makes sense, this is the man you go to.
Yeah.
And what did he do? Because he did a test on you that changed the entire track of what was going on.
Exactly, and it was so simple. You know, at the end of the day, I had about $1 million worth of work done on me, but he came in and did something that no one else had done before. He asked me to draw a clock. I mean, it's so simple. So he gave me a piece of paper and a pen, and I drew a circle, and all the numbers 1 through 12 on the right-hand side, like leaving the left-hand side completely neglected.
No, he could tell from that what was wrong with you.
He could tell that this was not a psychiatric disease, that the right-hand side of my brain, responsible for the left field of vision, was likely impaired or inflamed.
Yeah.
So what was wrong?
Okay, so at the end of the day, after a spinal tap confirmed it, he diagnosed me with what's called anti-NMDA receptor autoimmune encephalitis, which is a mouthful.
It's easy for you to say.
Yes, really.
What is it?
It's basically, it's an autoimmune reaction. So your immune system actually goes haywire for whatever reason, they don't really know why, and starts attacking these receptors in the brain that are important to memory, learning, behavior. I mean, it's an extremely important building block of the brain.
What amazes me is that, I mean, the reason they couldn't diagnose it is because you're the only the 217th person to be diagnosed, and it was only something that was kind of discovered in 2007.
Yes.
So it makes you wonder how many people have had it.
Yeah.
And just
well, what's the treatment? How were you brought
treatment's
back?
relatively simple. You know, it's steroids and immune therapies. So, I mean, it's not really that... In some cases, you have to get chemotherapy. I did not have to, but otherwise, it's fairly simple.
So you're fully recovered?
Yes, I'm not on any medication.
However, had they not diagnosed it and you had continued down that path that you were going along, what could have happened?
Well, there's mortality. You know, people die from this disease, and then there's just, you know, long-term cognitive deficits, and that range from severe to mild. But you're never, you know, many people do not return to themselves, and a lot of people end up in psychiatric wards or nursing homes. You know, how many people out there before 2007? You know, went undiagnosed.
Well, here's the thing. This is what we mentioned a moment ago. Was the fact that there has been a connection made here, potentially between not all, but a mental health issue,
yes,
a misdiagnosis, and actually a physical problem that can be fixed with medication.
Exactly. I mean, what the implications are pretty incredible, because at the height of my disease, there is no difference between me on paper and someone with schizophrenia. I mean, we had the same exact kind of profile, but the only difference is that I was cured and I'm back now. So, I mean, those implications are pretty incredible.
Since you've spoken out about it, have you found other people have gone, oh my goodness, I think I actually have that? So actually, by talking about it, you're helping other people?
Yeah, and that's been the biggest gift of all. I mean, through this book, people have actually gotten diagnoses. And,
yes,
you know, and I've reached doctors who now, you know, they can recognize it earlier on. I mean, that's really the goal in all of this, yeah.
And so there's every possibility that Dr. Suhail Najjar and yourself and those other patients who've gone through this have found potentially some sort of link between misdiagnosis, mental health misdiagnosis, and something that, as you say, it took you 12 months to recover with the right medication. That's quite a breakthrough.
Oh, I think so. I mean, I think that there's going to be a lot of study about this particular illness and illnesses like this. This is just one type of encephalitis. There are other types of encephalitis being discovered that also have psychiatric presentations as well.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. I mean, what an incredible story. And this is the book that we've been talking about, A Brain on Fire, My Month of Madness, Susannah Cahalan. And thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that.
Thank you. And you're back at work now?
I am, yes, I am, yes.
When are you back to New York?
Sunday.
Well, you've got a good day for it here, let me
enjoy
tell
it
you.
here.
If
Thank
you want more information on Susannah's condition, or maybe hearing her story has affected you in some way, then log on to our website where you'll find more information about support groups and helplines.